Hi everyone, my name is Steve Lawson.
And my name is Anja Fofana.
And welcome to the GEMR live demo scanning sessions for RSNA 2020. Our theme for RSNA this year is intelligently efficient, and we wanted to show you that through a series of these live demo scan sessions across the portfolio of both 1.5T and 3T products that we have. We'll be doing this twice a day here from our headquarters in Waukesha, Wisconsin. But we also have another session that's being held out of our headquarters in Buc, France. Today we are on the SIGNA Voyager system.
And we are really very excited to show you finally the Voyager with Air Coils. So we want to start by just showing this coil here into the camera, that you can see that the design of the Air Coils for the Voyager is pretty much the same as on our other scanners. So we have the blanket design, we have the really flexible coil where we don't have to worry about twisting and turning the coil. We have the same rules applied to that coil. That means air technology is inside. We don't have to worry about decoupling signal by overlapping the coil too much or too less. So we really want to show you how this coil can be used and where we've seen customers using it already. And we have an example here on our volunteer where we want to show you to scan really long bones with just using this coil. First, we want to start off showing positioning some examples what we've seen really customers do, and we switched the camera setup for that. So we have our volunteer here set up on the back, and I want to show you now how easy positioning is when we would want to do like a long field of view humerus scan. So the volunteer can just be comfortably on their back, and then I can just easily put the coil underneath their back and can wrap around the coil. And as you can see, I can cover the entire length of the shoulder and the elbow in one field of view just with one coil. So there is no need really to use an additional coil for repositioning. Just think about the use case where we sometimes have to start in the shoulder and we see that, for example, there is a signal further down in the field of view and you would have to reposition the coil and look for a coil which would cover the elbow now. All these is worries about your past, because now we have the air coil which you can just wrap around and you can scan wherever you want. So another use case where a lot of customers use that coil for is, just think about your patient is coming and it tells you that you have a lot of back pain. So now you have whiteboard scanners. We can ask them, oh, is that maybe a position for, yes, perfect. Is that maybe a position you can tolerate because your back pain is so hard that you cannot be on your back? So just see that. We can just put the coil now in the back of the patient, and it's perfectly covered for the entire spine work. And they can just lay on the table again how they feel comfortable, and you can just do your scanning like that. So these are cases really which we see frequently in use by customers by using the Air Coil. And what we prepared today is really like a long bone scan here for the leg. So that is why I will ask my volunteer now to just quickly turn around the table. And then we are going to set her up for just a long bone scan. Thank you. Can you lift your leg again? Awesome. Okay. Yeah. And as you can see, I can just wrap around the coil with no rules applied regarding overlap or so. I do have Velcro strips attached at my table, so it's easy for me to just like strap the coil a little bit further down on her. And as we said at the beginning, we don't have to worry about like overlapping too much or too less. We can just like put the coil however we want on her knee, and then we can have the entire scan range for the field of view here, which is really, really nice. And then we have a new technology to recognize our coil elements. So no need for me to landmark the coil and the field of view anymore. So what I do is just landmark the middle of my eye, and I'll just see like the middle of the coil. So I just do a one finger click application here, press one button, and I make sure that my electronics are not on the table. That would be a massive failure when so many people are watching me. And then I push just one button here to position that leg in the middle of the bore, and that's all we have to do, and we can start our scanning session. Okay. I turn off the camera. So now you can see our user interface, and we are both outside of the magnet room. So what we do now is we just have our patient data ready here, and we start the exam button. And we have a protocol loaded here to scan the left leg. So I will just go ahead and save and start to. So the first thing you will notice when you're a little bit familiar with our scanners is that the user interface regarding coils has been updated. So what we do see is like really here an image from the entire coil displayed. We got rid of all the coil modes. So for you, that means that you don't have to pick really any modes anymore. You can just select the entire coil, and then the system will do the rest. So in that case, we have wrapped around the air coil around the legs. That is why this coil is only selected, and we can just go ahead and start scanning from there. So the first localizer was already okay, but I want to make sure that I know exactly where I am. So I will just place a second one and have a little bit more coverage here on the leg. And then we will start scanning with the large field of view sequences. And that is really what we can do with having the air coil now on the patient, because the extent of the air coil is really 60 centimeters, and we can have everything covered in one field of view, which is really, really nice and huge.
It is a nice feature for MSK. It's also great in chest, abdomen, pelvis. You can a lot of times scan chest, abdomen, pelvis without repositioning the coil at all.
So here we do our first sagittal plane. We do a stir. We do have a large field of view, as you can see. The entire leg will be covered. I make sure that the slices are in the middle of the leg, and then we will scan a stir sequence for 3 minutes and 34 seconds, where we will run 3 millimeter slices. And the implant resolution will be around 1 millimeter, so a pretty decent implant resolution here as well. So what you see on top of it is here the coverage displayed for the air coil with the blue line. So that is what is happening because we are using our new coil recognition technique, which we call Air Touch. The system always generates sensitivity maps of the coil on the patient, and it does that because when we launch the 3-plan localizer, we are creating that map by turning on every single channel element of the scanner and every single element of the coil, so we know exactly where the coils are. And then the system will take care of the rest and make sure that when we have large field of views, it will just use the entire coil. And when we have smaller field of views, then it will pick them accordingly. The next sequence we will run is a Sagittal T1 in the same plane direction. And our scanner has been set up with the linking feature. So I, as a technologist, don't have to even like prescribe these slices or have to open that sequence. It will be done automatically. I can hit here the auto scan button, and the system will just run the two sequences at a time. Okay. By the way, when you have any questions during this scanning session, feel free to use the chat window in the corner. So we will have an eye on that, and feel free to ask any questions you might have regarding the scanner or in general about software that we can answer while we are scanning here.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is the blue horizontal line showing the coil location, you know, not that top one, but the one across the bottom? Go to that image. Yeah. Why does it seem like it's more centered in the center of the bore? That blue line.
The coil is wrapped around the leg, so I think if it were straightened out, you would see that length being traversing the entire image, right? But with the coil wrap, we're seeing it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then maybe we can already prescribe the next sequence. What we do here is we will do Dixon technique. So we will scan a coronal plane here. So we'll just prescribe that again over the leg. Again with a large field of view, and here we have selected that we want to look at the in and post phase images at the same time. So we will generate a flex technique in a T1 contrast, and we will have 4 image impressions doing one scan. So all these flex techniques are applied now to all of our contrasts. So you can do that in T2, PD, and T1 contrasts, and you can do that anywhere in the body. So that's really a nice feature too to use whenever you expect fat saturations issues due to like a large field of views, or maybe you have a lot of different anatomies in one field of view, thinking about an ankle scan or an entire foot scan, then you can use the technique to have good fat suppressed images. Okay, and then while this is running, we can have maybe a look at some images we generated already earlier. So here's the example of what we just showed when we positioned our volunteer, is that we can have a large field of view here, bring the shoulder and the elbow in one scan. You see that we have a stir contrast here as well. And the scan time was only 3 minutes and 3 seconds. So that is what I mean. Usually it was always hard to offer an entire large field of view where you can cover the entire humerus in one field of view, because you never had a big coil. And if you would have a big coil, then you could never like flexible wrap it around. It was like a little bit more stiff, that you always would have more signal from other anatomies as well. But now with wrapping around the coil around the humerus, you are not afraid of that. And on the left-hand side, you see our new sequence, which we call 0TE scan, so it's bone imaging. So this has been acquired also on a larger humerus scan with our 0TE technique, and the scan time was only 2 minutes here. And also here, you can cover the entire humerus with only in one field of view.
This scan is also one side note, I guess. It's really a nice thing. That scan is a silent acquisition, so it's entirely ambient room noise during that scan. Yeah.
So not only patient comfort due to the flexible coil, also patient comfort because no noise anymore. So in here are just coming up the first images we just acquired on our volunteer. So that was the stir sequence where you can see that we've used the air coil here, 3 minutes and 34 seconds. And you can see that you covered easily the knee and then the entire tibia and fibula in one field of view as well. The TT1 images are coming up in 15 seconds, and then we will go ahead and scan the corona images as well.
How small a field of view on the axials can you get with this coil?
How small?
Yeah.
So that is really something which is you can challenge the scanner and the coil a lot. We've seen customer using really like small, tiny field of views around like I would say 12. For sure, when we don't use our new deep learning technique, Air DL, you maybe have to invest a little bit more time in order to scan these small field of views. But the coil is capable of doing kind of, I would say like 12, 14 field of views without issues. So here is the example of doing the Sagittal T1, which is a higher resolution scan here as well. So we selected a matrix by 512 and 388. And in the coronal plane, I even bumped the matrix size higher up. So you will see in the coronal T1 sequence, and I think a matrix size for 640 by 512. And maybe we can look here in the actual planes. So we did select here a field of view of 60. If you want to challenge us, let me know. Maybe we can go ahead and just go a little bit smaller if you want to. Do you want to see a smaller field of view?
Right. 16 is probably good for a calf, so that's good.
And as we said during positioning, the nice thing, if you really are going to scan small field of views and you want to maybe don't have the extent in total, you can just take the coil and really wrap it around as much and however small your patient is, and you don't have to worry about that in any scenario you will decouple your signal because the coil has the air technology. That really is a big deal regarding positioning and helps you a lot to make it easy on you, because you don't have to follow and think about rules when you put your table and your patient on the table and the coils on top of the patient
Yeah, it gives you a lot of versatility in that way, for sure.
The T1 image we are going to scan will be having, here the matrix size 640 by 420. So we go really high up in the resolution. We still can have a maintained scan time of only 1 minute and 43 seconds.
Did you do a Kemp FatSat on the humerus? I was wondering just, how the uniformity of the fat suppression is with this coil, especially in a humerus where it's closer to the sides of the magnet.
So it's easier, I'm honest, to do a stir and also like just use the flex technique because you don't have to worry. It really depends on your patient size. So if you look at patient sizes and look at my status and my coworker status, I think we don't have to worry about doing spectral fat saturation there. But if you have a bigger one, then I would highly recommend to just make it easier on you and use some of the flex techniques we offer, so that you can have a true T1, T2, or PD contrast, but just using a Dixon technique. So in here we can just maybe split the layout again, and I will go ahead and show you all three images we got here. So I will show you the water image, the fat image, the in-phase image, and the post-phase image. So now it's a really T1 contrast. So in case you need some contrast media, you can inject. And that for sure always helps when thinking about fat suppression. And otherwise, really it depends on your patient and about the size and how flexible he is in the bore. So I always like give the rules, if you can make sure that the coil and the patient is positioned on the pillow, like on the table pillow, then for sure I would try out the spectral fat saturation. When you see that your anatomy is already like on the extended part of the table, then we know it's like off 50 centimeter. So then I would like highly recommend to use a Dixon technique, because the field of view of the scanner is 50 centimeters. We have also seen customers using this air coil as maybe like really far away for a routine setup, but using the air coil to wrap it around a head in order to, if your patient is having an intubation or something like that, then you can use that coil really and put it anywhere in the anatomy and still get good images. Or maybe for a cervical spine, when they have really the Bechterew disease and cannot fit in any of our coils, and even the comfort gel doesn't help, that there would be also a solution just putting this coil in the back of the patient and go with there. So now we are having the 2-1 images here, and I can display them large. And maybe again the other T1 here too. See that you can see the knee and almost like all the way down until the ankle. And I think maybe if we would have paid more attention, that we made sure that the ankle would have been covered, then it's easy to cover like in one scan, like really both joints. So we are really happy that we finally have the air coils also available on Voyager, because the Voyager is a nice scanner, but not having the air coils was always like hard for us to scan with, because we are so used to have now easy and just putting coils on the patient however we want. So we are really excited here in the building that we finally this technology also on the Voyager scanner, so that we have air coils available on our entire portfolio.
It's kind of changed the way we think a bit about coils, having the air coils. You know, it's so comfortable for the subjects when we scan, or even just the image quality, better parallel imaging performance, all of that changes with the air coils. But just really, I guess we're spoiled that way.
We are.
And you said the bore diameter is the same as like the standard wide bore Artist and Architect?
Yes. So the bore is a 70 centimeter bore, right, on the Voyager. Mm-hmm.
What is what's the length of the bore compared to the Architect and the Artist?
I don't know the exact.
I think it's a little bit shorter, but I cannot give you a centimeter, unfortunately, or like we have to look that up. But feel free to like shoot us an email that we can make sure that we can answer your question via email.
Okay, but it's not like significantly longer from the front to the back of the scanner than those other ones, huh?
No.
Okay.
So here we have some series selected, which we did prior also on an ankle. Again, stir on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, we did again PD now, a flex technique. But just so there was also always like a challenging exam, I would say, to cover the Achille appropriate, because when you use that, usually doing that with a normal ankle foot coil, you know that you would always have challenges that sometimes the Achille would like be ripped apart like further up and you would never have coverage. But seeing how nice the images turn out when just using the air coil around wrapped around the ankle, you see how much coverage you can get here. And if the Achille would be ripped somewhere, you don't worry about that anymore as a technologist. And then here the small field of view, 16 field of view with the air coil as well. So in that case, we did spectral fat saturation. We did 4mm slices just to make sure that we had a lot of coverage, but you can see that we have a lot of signal. So I wouldn't worry about going in with like thinner slices here as well.
And this is not without our Air Recon. It does not have Air Recon DL on it either. So I think we can further reduce scan time or improve resolution with some technique like this.
Yeah.
So this is very good.
Okay, just maybe to summarize what we discussed here today is just we wanted to show you the flexibility of the air coils and some anatomy. So as we demoed before, you can wrap it around any long bones you can find. You can give the patient comfort by like putting the coil patient on the side and put the coil in the back and scan spine like that. You have the extended field of view when scanning abdomen and pelvis. You don't have to reposition the coils there. With the air coils, we have a new technology to recognize the coils, so we don't have to worry about coil modes at all anymore. The system will just pick the coils needed for that scan. And finally, we have a solution to scan a large field of views, and we are not worried about like finding multiple coils or switching the patient in different ways into the bore, so we can do that all at once. Please let me know if you have any questions otherwise.
So these are, like we said earlier, these are live sessions we'll be having every day. Feel free to join any of the other sessions, 2 a day from here at our global headquarters in Waukesha, but then also 1 session a day also being from our office in Buc, France.
Okay. Just double checking if there are more questions. Otherwise, you can also like unmute yourself and ask questions otherwise.
Besides the air coil, what other coils are you thinking? Are you thinking of having a head coil at least as well?
You mean like when you like purchase a system? So which coils you would need? Yeah. So for sure, the head coil, and on that scanner we have an HNU coil with the 19 shell available, and then also you can combine this head coil, for example, with the air coil, thinking about doing plexus images, and you want to like have coverage also through your humerus. That's always a nice solution to like combine these coils. But these are the coils you definitely would need, and then it really depends on what you do on your daily business. Like if you do a lot of like high-end wrist images or something like that, then I think we would still think about like getting a wrist coil. But if you do have to scan a wrist like every once in a while, then I think air coil is your way to do, because then you don't need the entire portfolio of the coils anymore. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's good.
Some of the larger field of view musculoskeletal imaging does pretty good with the air coil, I would say, and especially having new techniques like Air Recon DL can further improve it even more. But if you did want some really small field of view imaging, then maybe dedicated coils might be the way to go for that.
Okay. Then we appreciate the time today. Okay.
Do you have any examples side by side of Recon DL and your standard imaging here with the air coils?
So
see what would be
Yeah.
on this system. There's the AW up there. Just use your client. It's open.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second here. Let me see what I've got with that. I'm not sure exactly if these are with, oh, here's one. Here's a hips with Air Coils. Just 1 second. Let me pull that up for you, okay? Okay. I believe that's it.
Yeah, you share that one. I can do that.
Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an example with the Air Coil and Air Coil. So this is a scan that's 1 minute. 1 minute 4 for this, the hip exam. And here's another one. This is example 2 minutes and 46 seconds for this fat suppressed proton density. Let me know if the window level is not working for you. I think it should be okay. So that's 2 minutes 46. You can see another one here. This is a 2 minute 49, all with Air Recon DL. These are 3 millimeter slice thickness, 20 centimeter field of view. So we're less than 1 millimeter in plane, both directions, X and Y. Let's see. 2 minutes 49 for that. Yeah, and then there's something maybe even higher resolution here. It's a nice benefit of Air Recon DL is you can kind of achieve resolutions you weren't really able to get before. So this is very high resolution, 340 by 280, 21 centimeter field of view. The Air Coil, and then, yeah, this one's 2 minutes for this one, so a little higher spatial resolution. In this example.
I have a question back from the session I saw the two of you this morning. So on the brain acquisition that you show, were you using the AirX brain package?
Yes. So here on Voyager, we also have AirX Brain available, our deep learning for slice prescription in the brain. So actually, we offer that on all of our scanners. And this morning, in the live scanning session where we scanned the propeller sequence, we prescribed the slices with AirX Brain.
Do you know if GE is coming out with any other prescribed like knee or shoulders?
Luckily, we can say yes. So the next one, which is like there already, is for the knee. And actually, we show some images during this week there as well. So if you like want to schedule a image demo, so feel free. We can show you how AirX in the knee is working. And there we achieved that we can have the slice prescription for the knee, no matter which coil you are using. So you can use the Air Coils, you can use the dedicated coil, you can use the flex coils, whatever is there in your portfolio. AirX knee is able to scan and prescribe slices for the knee with any other coils. And then we are working on more, and hopefully we will get more to tell you soon too. But the knee is already ready.
The knee is very nice. You can anatomical reference points of ACL, PCL, meniscus, patella. It finds all of those anatomical reference points, and you can build your protocols around that. So for very thin slice ACL, you can use that. It's really awesome. It's great.
Yeah, I have a Voyager Air going to be installed in about 4 months. So and we did purchase the AirX Brain, but at the time, you know, none of the others are available yet. So I was just curious.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect. I think we are already a little bit over the time. So as we said, so if you want to see like more images, feel free to like reach out to us. We can happily schedule a one-on-one meeting with any of you guys and do an image review in further detail. And otherwise, we are happy to share more of our technology tomorrow morning again.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.